Okay. Okay. So today we are going to cover our procedures for special meal service. So days like Thanksgiving or grandparents' breakfast, and a new rule that we've kind of put in place. Um, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to cover what the proper procedures are for special meal service. We have a big one coming up. Hey, Laura, did you have a question already?
Did you hit record?
Yes, I did. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
You're
I
welcome.
remembered.
Okay.
Can you all see my screen? Yes. Okay. So we're going to cover special meal service today. Thanksgiving is the big one that came up, so that's kind of why I wanted to squeeze this one in. We talked as a group here in the office on what we thought was the most ideal way to handle when a lot of guests come into our kitchens to eat with us. So we're going to go over that, and then we'll talk about questions and tips and things like that. So if you guys have any tips, because I know some of you have probably done this many times before, feel free to chime in. I know your advice is invaluable to some of the newer people out there. So 4 weeks out, we're hoping that you're aware of the event that's happening. I know sometimes principals throw stuff out there last minute, but ideally, we would know about these like Veterans Day breakfast and stuff at least 4 weeks in advance. That gives us plenty of time to order. We want you guys to discuss your principal's expectations, meaning what you want on the menu, when you want to have it, things like that. And then you would also need to get your menu approved through Lakin. So that would be, a conversation with her. I'll show you guys like the special breakfast menu that we've created. We don't necessarily have a special lunch menu, but it just depends on what is on the menu for that day. But I'll get there. You'll also reach out to me to let me know that you're having an event, and I can create a menu for y'all so people are aware of what they're buying a ticket for. And I can also create tickets that the front office can print out and provide to the people that purchase one. And then 1 to 2 weeks out, you will need to order any food items that are relevant for the event. Certain things will be ordered through catering, things that we probably wouldn't order on a normal basis, like tea or coffee or creamer, Splenda, sugar packets, things like that. Um, and then you will also need to make sure that you've discussed your plan with your supervisor so they're aware of this and so they're on board with what y'all's plan is, meaning you and your principal. And then on the day of course, we want you to have service with a smile and produce quality foods. And then immediately after meal service, you will turn in tickets, which I will go over in detail here in a moment. Does anybody have any questions so far? Nope, I don't think so. Okay. So, as I said, your principal is pretty much the driving guide to this. I know they have the ideas of how they want to do things, what menu they want you guys to serve, things like that. So, I feel like the best plan of action is to get with your principal first. And once you kind of have an idea of what they want, we can work out the kinks and stuff like that. So once you've done that, you can reach out to me. I can create a flyer with the menu and the price of the tickets. Um, and then you'll also need to get the menu approved through Lakin. That would be a conversation first, and then you would also need to submit the Google Doc, but I will show you that. Also, Cheryl has like the little carnival tickets. I have a picture on the next slide that I'll show y'all. So if you prefer the carnival style ticket, you would have to request them from Cheryl, and Cheryl can get get those sent out to you. This right here is the custom ticket that I've made for Glen York for their grandparents' breakfast. If you guys prefer these, I can make them easily in Canva, and then typically the front office will print them out for you guys. So that's it on the tickets. We do need a little bit of time before the event so we can get the tickets sent out in our office mail if you get the carnival style tickets. And I need a little bit of time if you want me to create one. So the sooner the better would be great. So once we get closer to the event, the front office can do pre-sale if they prefer. They don't have to. I don't think a lot of people do, but maybe for Thanksgiving they will. I'm not sure. And pre-sale, I mean like before the event, before the day of the event. But once they start collecting money, they need to be made aware that we are no longer accepting checks for purchase of visitor meal tickets, cash only. So it would be up to your school on whether they want to accept checks and then provide us with the cash once we turn in the tickets. So this is brand new. There are probably going to be some kinks that you guys may have questions on that we might need to work out, but no longer when we get money for the tickets that we turn in, we are not accepting checks. We've just had a lot of checks bounce and we haven't been able to get the money for them. So that's the reason for us no longer accepting checks. And this is just for visitor meal tickets. This will not be for student accounts. You can still accept payments for students' accounts via check all day, every day. This is our meal prices. For breakfast, we charge $3 for visitors, and for lunch, we charge $5. I know that's a big change. So does anybody have any questions about the fact that we're no longer going to accept checks? Any concerns or anything? I think we've kind of slowly been telling people this, but we haven't made it official, and today we're making it official. Okay, no questions, huh? Okay, change bank. You should already have a change bank. If you do not, too bad. But if there's a serious emergency, Carla may have something available. It may not be what you want, but we do have a slight backup. But it has to be a true emergency, not poor planning. And then Carla also wanted me to tell you guys that Alvin Junior High, who I don't believe is on the call, and Alvin Elementary, Laura, if you're still at Alvin Elementary, Carla has your change bank here, so it's ready for you guys to pick up. Any questions? Carla did say that all of you were pretty good about asking for a change bank, so we should be okay. Just true emergencies, you would reach out to Carla to get that change bank. Okay, so marketing. When you reach out to me a couple weeks in advance, I need the menu that you're serving, what type of event it is, the date of the event, and any other pertinent information that you would like for me to display. I know that in past experience, specifically with grandparents' breakfast, I think a lot of the people who are purchasing the meal ticket thought that everything that was on the line was part of their $3 breakfast. So I think it's important to have this information available if your school's doing pre-sale. It's also good to just kind of educate the front office staff on what is included because they don't understand our guidelines quite like we do. So just telling them kind of that they can only pick up one entree and then the rest of the components, just to help prevent any unnecessary confusion once the big day is there. Any questions? Excuse me. Yes, Dee?
That was a lot of the problems. And I'm so glad you touched base on that, because we did have a lot of grandparents coming through and getting 2 or 3 items, and they thought it was one item. And I think I talked with Liz about it, saying let's kind of put up like a menu or something like you suggested, so that they know what comes on there, because I think it was just on our part miscommunication with them, letting them know, because they were getting, I guess, the cinnamon roll at Liz's, and then they were getting the parfait,
Yes.
and thinking that that was all their things. So
Yep, that's exactly
definitely. Yes.
when I went to grandparents' breakfast, that's exactly what they thought. They thought the yogurt was a side for the cinnamon roll. So if we make sure that meal viewer is displayed and we have proper signage out, I feel like maybe half of them will read it. And that would eliminate a lot of taking of entrees away because they didn't want to pay for it, etc.
Yes, ma'am.
So
And
Jen,
even maybe let the cashiers know that they do have the, like, if they do wanted to buy something, like let them know the entree. Like, it's like I had to tell them, oh, it's $1.35, and then I didn't have any change to give them because they handed me a 5. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was
it's just better to tell them up front so they know what to expect.
yes, ma'am.
Brittany, did someone else have a question? Brittany, maybe?
I was going to say maybe we could jump on Thanksgiving for displaying the signs up front.
Yes, I sent an email with the menu. I also printed them and put them in your mailbox, so they should be.
So those will go up front. Is that what you're saying? So like when the
Yes.
parents come and stuff. Okay,
That's why I sent them so soon, so you guys,
sure.
if your schools are selling tickets early, that you would have that menu available. Yes, ma'am. Jen, did you have a question?
I was just going to add to that. I see that we're going to put the sign up front, but probably we need to have them in the plastic holders on the line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What I'm hearing is you're going to make a nice printout of their menu for them. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, I have.
If they request it.
Yeah. No, I make it for everyone.
Oh, you make one for everyone.
They get it whether they, for Thanksgiving, just because our menus are all the same for Thanksgiving.
Perfect. Okay.
In general, the menus are different, so I only do it if you request it. So yes, but I have created those. Hey, Laura, did you have a question?
You answered it. Are we going to get, so the menus that you've already sent to us, we're going to take those to the front office so they can display them. Are we going to get another set to put out here, or should we make copies of that?
No, I'm going to send more. I was waiting for Carla to come back because I didn't know if I should print them here in the office or if I should have the print shop print them. But someone had told me that their front office started selling tickets or was about to, and I just wanted to get out what I could as soon as possible. But don't worry about printing them. I'll either print them here or print them in the front office, and we'll get them sent out to you guys. Any more? Oh, Cheryl.
Yes, I just have noticed that some of these flyers that Jennifer is sending out are being returned. Make sure when you get an envelope, even if it looks like it's empty, open it and double check because they're coming back.
Yes, we received a flyer from Easter in the mail just last week. So please check your folders. I always send an email out telling you guys that I'm sending it. So you should know at least within the next couple of days that you need to go down to your front office and check. Any other questions on this part? No? Okay. So next, this is very critical in my personal opinion because I do know that parents view our meal viewer when they're standing in the line. The menu that's displayed on meal viewer needs to be the accurate menu. So you need to submit the Google Doc, preferably before the day of, just because people may look at it on Thursday if Thanksgiving is on Friday. People may look to see what we're serving. It's just always good to submit it as maybe even as soon as you make your order, and that would just be through the Google Doc. And as soon as you submit it through the Google Doc, Lakin will get it updated. And like I said, the menu should be approved by Lakin, most likely through a conversation. Sometimes your supervisor likes to be involved in that too, just because they have certain things that they know go well at your schools. So just be sure that you're communicating with us so we can make sure that the menu is adequate. This is kind of a duplicate slide. Just be sure you probably need to double check that meal viewer has been updated on your end as well. So that would just be going to the online menus to see if it displays exactly what you plan on having out for that day. So this is a snippet of what we require for special breakfast. So it's typically your regularly scheduled menu plus 2 additional items. These are our more adult-friendly items. That's why we've chosen these. If you have something that you want to do outside of this, you know, just let your supervisor know, let Lakin know, and we'll get it approved. We had talked about maybe reducing the amount of entrees required just because it is so confusing, but at this point we left it the same. So if you do want to do that, you just need to make sure that supervisor and Lakin have approved it. Any questions about this? Oh, I was going to touch base on this and say we don't have like a special lunch menu. We typically use what's on our lunch menu and maybe swap it with a day that has a better entree item if we need to. So it just depends on the lunch menu for that day. So as I've said many times, just make sure you run it through Lakin and your supervisor so we're all good on what you're serving for that day. Any questions? Okay, so before and during meal service, this is what we've kind of talked about is the best practice for things when we have guests coming in. We prefer that the front office will sell the tickets and collect the money. The schools are already doing like a vetting process to make sure that all of our guests are allowed to come into the school. So when they do that, we ask that they sell the tickets. And your school typically, like I've never had an issue with the school printing the tickets that I've created in the past. So I think that's pretty much the standard procedures. But if they don't want to print the tickets, we can print them here in the office. Once again, we're no longer accepting checks, excuse me, for visitor meals. We will still, as always, accept checks for student accounts. Make sure that it's communicated with the front office what a complete meal would be. So if guests have questions, they can always ask the front office when they're purchasing their ticket. And we're just hoping that this will eliminate some of the confusion in the line in hopes to speed up the line. And then signage should already be provided to the front office staff. Hey, Brittany, did you have a question?
Okay, I have a question because at Pomona, when we did Grandparents' Day, we wasn't for sure if the water was able to give them to them or they would have to pay for it. Like, is that going to be cleared out too to make sure? Or
as far as I know, bottled water is included with a meal, like a visitor meal.
even for like breakfast?
Can a supervisor answer that question? I think so. Yeah.
I'll answer it. That's fine. If a parent,
Okay, thanks,
if a guest wants a water in a bottle, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Good question, Brittany. And then, okay, so we've also had some confusion on when the visitor should give the ticket to someone. And we've had teachers accept the ticket at the door before the person ever has a meal. So we're asking that once the parent or the grandparent comes through the line, they hand the ticket to the cashier. This way we have all the tickets in one spot. I think you guys typically keep like a little basket near the register and then you just put the ticket in the basket and you do not ring up a meal until you're done with meal service at the end of the day. You'll ring up students as normal. They'll punch in their PIN number. It'll be a student meal. But visitors at the end of meal service, you'll count the tickets and you'll do a record sales. The ticket is basically money at this point, so treat it like money. Make sure that you don't leave it up at the leave the basket up at the register when you step away for a moment. Take it with you. That's how we get our money from the front office, is trading in tickets for money. So yes, Laura.
Do we ring that up in the back of the house or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll do. I cover that right on this slide. So once meal service is complete, you'll ring these up in the back office. As I said, you'll record student meals as you always do at the, oops, there's a typo there. I just noticed that. At the register with the PIN number. And then immediately after meal service, you'll do the record sales. You'll count the tickets, however many tickets you have. You'll multiply that by the price of the meal. So it would be $3 for breakfast and $5 for lunch. And then you would go get that money from the front office. And then once you have that money, all cash, because we're not accepting checks anymore. Once you have that money, you'll come back to your office and you'll do a record sales. And the next slide is just a snippet of, you'll go, this is small. Can y'all see it? I mean, I think y'all know how to do record sales. Point of service, administration, and then you click record sales, and then you'll select your site and the date of the meal service, the meal type, and the meal menu item. And if it's, well, this is for breakfast. So you would just plug in the number of meals you served and the total number of cash, or the total amount of cash that you received from the front office, and then you would click next, and then you'll enter your denominations, and then you'll save this. Does that make sense to everyone? No questions? Okay, so we also, this is Cheryl's, that's why Cheryl's on this call, because this is Cheryl's baby, but you'll reconcile this session with all the other sessions as a normal deposit. One deposit, you don't need multiple deposits. If you're not sure on how to do it, or if you're doing something wrong, Cheryl or your supervisors will be the point of contact for this. Excuse me, it is not going to be a separate deposit. Cheryl, is there anything else you want to say on that?
I think that's it. You basically just treat it like you would treat any other register drawer. You know, verify it, enter it, and add it in with your cash at the end to do your total deposit.
Thank you. Oops. Okay, so at the end of this, sorry, just a few FAQs that supervisors have gotten frequently. How do I know how many to plan for? Your principal may have a good idea of how many to expect. You can always look at previous production records. We have noticed that we've had more visitors, I think, this year. And I think that was maybe because they weren't allowed to come for a couple years due to COVID. So they're excited to be back. I know that's happened at a couple of schools with some events that we've had. And then we also want to plan for extra because students who don't normally come might come through because their mom gets to come to lunch or something like that. So your supervisor would be a good point of contact for helping you figure out what the total number of meals you should plan for would be. How can I speed up the line? So Michelle had done this at whichever school she was at for grandparents breakfast. She had rosters printed. And then when the line was backed up, she was going down the line, giving students a sticky note with their ID number on it. So once they got to the register, they had their ID ready to go. So we weren't looking up as many kids. If anybody has any other tips on things that have helped them speed up the line or just made it a little smoother sailing, feel free to chime in. Do I need a change bank? Do you have startup money? If so, use your startup money. The deadline for change bank has already passed. So get with Carla if there's an emergency. We covered the separate deposit. No, it will be treated just like an additional register. One deposit per day. You should never ever have more than that, as far as I know. If you need to make an adjustment, call your supervisor, Cheryl or Carla. And my last question, what if my principal wants to do something else? We know that sometimes the principal is the person that we have to listen to, whether it makes sense for us to do it or not. So if they want to do something other than what we're recommending, talk with your supervisor. There are other ways to do this that may work out just as well, but we've found in our experience that this is just the smoothest, excuse me, the smoothest way to make it happen and to make it happen efficiently. So just get with your supervisor if your principal's insisting on doing it a different way. And then double check. Obviously, every single time you do this, you should double check the denominations in your drawer, match the money on the money screen on Express Point. 2 cashiers should be counting the money, and then the manager should be also counting the money. This should eliminate any possibility of a mistake on your deposit slip. 3 people counting it. So please, please be sure that you're double and triple checking the money that you're sending in. I will send this out. It is just a past training that I had done on cash handling. We had gone over it in the cashier training as well. It's just basically how to do a deposit. And then we've had some people send in money in some interesting ways. Don't use masking tape. Use money straps or rubber bands. We have them here in the office, so if you're going to need some for these events coming up, just order them through your office supply order. And then that's all I have for you guys. Do y'all have any questions or comments or any experience that you want to share that has worked well for you? Tina?
All these little signs you just went through, will you have them online where I can print them out?
Yes, I will send. It's a PowerPoint. I will send it out today as soon as I get the recap of the video. I'll send it out at some point today.
Okay, thank
And
you.
then I also put together, so you don't have to waste all the ink. I also put like a 1-pager that you can just print out that basically covers everything that's in this presentation, but on one sheet of paper with not a bunch of cute little pumpkins and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Becky?
Jennifer, I was distracted for a moment, so I'm not sure if I missed it, but also it's a good reminder for to make sure they're counting the money in the office with the people that whatever staff collects the money for the tickets,
Uh-huh.
that we count the
Oh,
money.
in the front office?
Yes.
Okay.
Before, we bring it to our kitchen, that we're not just picking up a bag of money.
Okay, good point.
counting
Yes,
it
I
with
didn't
them
touch
also.
base on that. So yes, count it with the person in the front office to make sure that you are receiving what you think you are. Thank you, Becky. That's a good point. Supervisors, do y'all want to add anything else that I maybe forgot or didn't cover? Our goal is to just kind of have a tried and true way of doing this. And we know that it may need to be adjusted a little bit, but I think we've done this for quite a while and it's been pretty successful. So if nobody has any questions, that's all I've got for y'all. Is there anything, Jen, anything that you want to add?
Great job.
Oh, Marla raised her hand. Laura, I can't
I was
read.
like, did she say Marler?
I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
saw her last name and that's all I saw.
I'll answer that. Are we allowed to ask that they send the students through with their key tags on? Like even the 4th and 5th graders, the one that knows their number, can we just have them not as a requirement, but request that they send all kids with, so we can just scan them and go?
I would think so.
Okay.
Right,
So I feel like-
supervisors?
Because even some of the older kids are a little bit slower at their numbers, and it holds down the line.
Definitely, Laura, if you're going to have kids that never eat with us come through. And that's kind of what we've been finding at the special meals. And that's why we said be ready with extra choices. But yeah, if you just talk to your principal about it and just say, I would like to request this. I think it'll help things run more smoothly. So yeah, you can always suggest it and hope that they follow through.
I think the principal's goal is to make sure they get through smoothly. So if you emphasize that it'll help, then they'd probably go for it. Okay. Oops, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that's what slowed us down a lot at the special breakfast, were the kids that never come through not knowing their numbers. So.
All righty. Well, that's all I have. So if y'all think of anything else, just shoot me an email or give me a call. And I hope that you learned something, and I'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Go Astros.